go, Marc. You're live.
Okay, thank you very much. So we continue our presentation of a different organization in the transhumanist and longevitist world. And today I will make a presentation about the French Transhumanist Association. But I choose to just talk about the last years, because I've already had regular occasions to present the French Association in international contexts. For example, during a Transvision 2017 in Brussels, or on the USTP channel hosted by Gennady Stolyarov. And so I will not repeat all the history of the association or talking in detail about the context or its development specific to France or the French-speaking world. For that, I will refer you to other link. Yes, this is the link, for instance, for the video of the presentation, of the French Association in 2017. So I don't know if we can. Or I will give the link in presentation of the video. And I think if I can have, yes, so this is the link, for example, for the virtual enlightenment challenge of the USTP. But for now, I propose to present somewhere else. I will seek to take stock of how we have evolved over the last, say, three past years. And more importantly, I would like to reflect with you on how our experience can potentially maybe be useful to all of us, to tell you what has worked and what had not worked for us, and to share that, if we can, some lessons of what we've learned. That's the idea. Yes. So about the development, first of all, of the French and Francophone context. Well, generally speaking, since 2017 to 2018, we have noticed a significant drop in interest from the public and media sphere. That means fewer articles, fewer journalists, solicitations, fewer invitations to participate in conferences, etc. And you'll note that this decline, this little decline, has begun before the pandemic. The COVID crisis seems to have only exacerbated this trend. And that's meant for me that it's probably not its primary cause. The reflection of various transhumanists who have been following the evolution of the movement for a long time tend to say that maybe transhumanism, in a way, is a victim of its own success. That is to say, maybe some of the theme that appeared to be very avant-garde in the 1980s, 1990s, and even up to the end of the 2000s, such as the possibilities of the internet and artificial intelligence, have become realities. And notably with the new breakthrough of OpenAI, all the public and media interest, its focus on AI and the possibility of the emergence of even an artificial general intelligence. But on the other hand, several failures maybe can explain a lower interest in transhumanism, in my view. Indeed, nanotechnologies have still not led to the nanorobots that the Foresight Institute, for instance, depicted in the 1990s and 2000s. Or, well, longevity research has not provided a cure for aging. And well, cryonics still cannot devitrify the dead with the guarantee of bringing them back to the life. So maybe it's some explanation. Well, but I want to talk to you about now what about the actions that the Transhumanist Association had, and what was maybe are some failures and some successes. Well, 4 years have been those of, I say, resilience in the context of the pandemic. We have stabilized a group of about 100 very regular members. You can see in this graph, this is the evolution of the members from almost the beginning of the association. And similarly, the number of our supporters has stabilized around 3,000 people. That's, for example, the numbers for our Facebook group. On the other hand, the number of our external solicitations and publications has decreased significantly. Here you can see our followers on Discord. You see that there is a topic which happened on 2020, 2021, and the last year's, we have a little drop. And here are the general external solicitation by journalists, by organizers of conferences, etc. And you see something, quite the same, or even which had started before. With that, we have other tools like newsletter, etc. But we see that those numbers are not growing anymore. Our newsletter is about 1,000 subscribers, and that is. Now I want to give you more precise example of what we have done in those last years. This is the publication. Yes, that is about our action. We have some local groups, and one of them were succeeded quite well. But in general, I can say that we never succeed in getting local groups started and maintained, except of this one in Strasbourg. The one in Paris has appeared and disappears twice in the last 10 years. And for example, these days we are struggling again to make this group arise from its ashes. Hopefully the one in Strasbourg is very dynamic. They have been holding a face-to-face meeting every month for over 5 years, even during the pandemic. And the small groups has grown from, at start there was something like 3-4 people, and now the last time there were more than 20 toward 30 people. And I have to say that this was possible thanks of this little starting group. Arnaud particularly is very active member. And there are 2-3 other members around him regularly present. I think that's it. So it shows that it's important to have at least one person very active somewhere. Yes, a few words about our action to trying to raise some money. Well, in fact, we have never made a big effort to find funding. Probably because, we are lucky enough to have a very large contributor among our members who allows the association to carry out the projects that are envisaged rather easily. But on the other hand, apart from the organization of the Transvision conferences, our projects do not cost us very much. So there is an equilibrium, if I can say. Those examples are in different direction, but I give you just like that to see the different direction that we have tried to work. We have tried to be more present and to interest our members at doing tests with, for instance, something like an EEG headband, like the Muse headband. This project, which has been going on for 2 years and involves something like 10 persons. And so the idea was to try to use this headband and to get some feedback, some neurofeedback. It's supposed to improve concentration or improve the sleep quality, something like that. We had a neuroscientist from a FAD lab. We ended up sending up a first-level testing protocol. And several members, well, I have to say that they had some difficulty getting it to work in a satisfactory way. And I have to say that some even gave it up on it. In general, this project was not a good success. It was maybe a failure. And it's important for, I think, to see what kind of reasons we can explain that such a project was maybe a failure. The number of people who really got involved at the end was not a lot, and we didn't convince our members. The project took too long to complete, more than a year for the headband to circulate among all the volunteers. The time needed to develop the protocol was too long. And the interest of the headband himself proved to be very limited. So, well, I give this example as a counter example. Well, but I think it's only by trying that we can verify what is satisfactory or not. Well, and now another kind of example about the media and communication. We launched at the end of the 2021 a little contest, which, well, it was again not very satisfying, because we received something like a really small number of illustrations of low quality. And due to this insufficient number, the jury refused to decide, and the contest was cancelled. And this failure is probably due to our poor connection with the graphic design and art communities in these fields, and compare with the success of the other contests I will talk to you about. So, well, we are now considering launching a different contest of images made maybe with artificial intelligence, like Midjourney, Dolly, etc. But hopefully I will talk to you about another a project we had, and which was quite successful. We launched a short story contest. A member of the association, Jan Quintila, is at the origin of this contest. And another member, Theo, anyway, play a determining a role in the organization, and especially enriching the right network of candidate authors. And I think this is the important point. Well, I help a little bit with the coordination, and in the end, we receive something like 77 texts. And for us, it was quite a good number. And we had a committee of people who was formed, a reading committee, I mean. And they first, well, they read the text, sure. And at the end, we give the prizes. We had 2 prizes for 500 and 200 euros. And those prize was given at the occasion of Transvision 2022 in Paris last year. Yes, this is an example of a good project which has succeeded, and so that I think that the differences of the 2 projects are interesting. And now a little examples about what we have made in partnerships with other organizations, and I think that is an interesting example. For example, we have and still have a good partnership with a YouTube channel which is called The Flares in English, even if it's half French speaking and half English speaking. Now it's for almost 3 years. And I think we have a very successful partnership with this channel. With them, it's only we have on a monthly basis, we have recorded more than 30 programs on all topics of transhumanism. And The Flares is a channel with over than 70,000 subscribers. So for us, it's very, very interesting. Another example, it's with a new small YouTube channel with a member of the association. Shaman have developed this channel. Well, it's very different and small. It's another level than the Flare channel, but it gives the opportunity to the AFT spokespersons to appear on his podcast, which has created a new space of expression for the association's member. So I think it is also a good opportunity. Another example of a partnership is the contact we had with a person that developed a web channel site. It is a documentary producer. He's called Claude Marcel. He came to us to help him develop a project of a documentary series. He wanted to devote it to transhumanism. So we put him in touch with several dozen of our contacts that he interviewed. And he traveling to several European countries with, or he sent a cameraman, and one of his cameramen who was also present during the Transvision colloquium last year. At the end, he made a first series of 21 episodes of about 20 minutes, and you can find them already in this channel. Well, it's a small web TV. I think that there are not so numerous inscription, but for us, again, it was a good occasion, and this is not ended. This is a project that is still running. Another idea we have from that was to use our contacts to try to have a promotional video, a promotional video spot. So at the beginning of 2022, we finalized with the responsible of the Flares, Gaëtan Sell, his name, a project of realization of a 1-minute video advertising spot. And I think that this work is of quite high quality. But you have to know that that kind of work, well, it was invoiced us at a level of 3,500 euros. So for us, it's an important amount. On this occasion, we finalized our registration to the Google Ad Grant program, and we use it now. But in the other hand, I have to say that after several months, well, we have not seen any effect in terms of new members to the AFT. So these tools, well, we are trying to use it in different occasions, but for example, if we was waiting to have some more members by this way, it's not exactly a big success. But on the contrary, I think that the tool is useful as a presentation of the association in the different social networks. Now, kind of intervention of the association in the last years is this example. I think that it was interesting. In France, we have a National Consultative Council of Ethics, which advise the government, which in general follows its recommendations. And well, its report on eugenics takes up many of the Association Française Transhumaniste position, of our opposition in general, and sometimes in its very wording, and it concludes that transhumanism is not eugenics. And from this time, well, every time that in the French-speaking world we have this classic discussion or these attacks, you know, well, transhumanism is just a new word for eugenics. Well, in France we can show this report, and so it's quite useful. So the audition we gave to the National Consultative Council Ethics in this occasion was a success. And well, it was important for us to be recognized. It's the second time that this council asked us an audition, and it's important to be in I do say that that they come to us to ask us our positions. Well, I go through now another kind of project we had this year quite quickly. We try also to intervene in the politics, which we was thinking that, well, maybe the association was ready to make some trials, but we chose not to intervene as the French Transhumanist Association, but well, we built a political movement in parallel, which is called Mouvement Technoprogressiste. The first idea was to try to have something during the presidential election in 2022. And several of our members enter in this movement, not all the members of the association, but a group between 10 and 20 pupils. Well, we developed a website and a program. At the time, we hoped to have even a candidate for the presidential election, but she finally gave up. And after that, we developed a questionnaire for the candidate. But I have to say that we weren't able to really get involved in lobbying the other candidates. And well, at the end, there was some exchanges of information on the programs of the other candidates, and some wrote to them, member of parliament, but overall, well, I have to say that this action remained marginal. But okay, we didn't give up, and we are actually are now trying to have something in the perspective of the European election. This idea is not dead. Well, that's all was at the national level. And now I want to give you some example of what we've tried at an international level. First example, I think that's interesting, is what happened in Morocco. In Morocco in 2022, in June 2022, several members and close supporters of the AFT have been invited to speak at a 3-day symposium on transhumanism held at the Mohammed VI Polytechnic University in Morocco near Marrakesh. Well, these invitations were in fact made possible thanks to the presence and advice of Alexandre, which is a member of the AFT, a prior member of our board, and now from some years is a professor within this university. First, among the speakers, except for myself, were Didier and some other French people, like you don't know them, but Hans Harrison, Terence Harrison, Jean-Noël Missa, Raphaël Yogier, and then Stephen Zornier, James Hughes, and José Cordero. All those people was invited by the intervention or the advices of Alexandre. So this colloquium, which is probably the first of its kind, as far as I know, in an Arab Muslim country, it allowed for important links to be forged. For instance, Georgie, which is a philosopher professor in France, from this time give lessons in Marrakesh, or exactly in this university near Marrakesh, from nearly a year. And other contacts have been forged. For example, the organizer you see in this photo at the right, Mr. Fari, to 2022 to represent his country. So I think that this was a very, very good point. And then we organized a transition in Paris last year. Well, I can say that we are partly satisfied of this organization. I can use some few details. The fact that we've decided on this project at the end of 2021, so something like 1 year before. Well, there was a small organizing committee of 5 people, well, they made about once a month from the beginning of 2022 for organize all that. I can say that at start it was quite fun because we had to find a room in a venue in a Catholic institute. And we had even paid the deposit. So 1 month before, we was sure that the event was there. But, and I think that's interesting to say, following pressure from the students' parents of this institute, the person in charge withdrew 1 month before. They withdrew the dates of our conference. Well, I pass a detail, but it was a bad surprise. But hopefully, after a great effort of research, particularly by Frédéric, we found a new venue, the cinema in Paris, which was even better than the one we had lost. But I think that's happening in France, almost. Well, we start with a list of possible, something like 80 to 100 stakeholders. At the end of our research, so we had something like 150 candidates, and we contact about 115, something like that, to finally accept a round of 50 person who came or sent a text or a video. We obtained the services, we paid the services of an interpreting company, was a simultaneous translation, which proved to be very satisfactory, as far as I have heard. And in general, the feedback was very good regarding the organization of the conference, the venue, and the quality of the presentations. But on the other hand, we did not reach all our objectives, particularly concerning the audience, which was about 100 people, where I was hoping something like the twice. I have to say that in 2014, for the first transition in Paris, we had about 200 people. And especially the media coverage. The media coverage was quite poor at this time. Well, but on the other hand, I can say that the roundtables were all filmed and recorded with a very satisfactory result, I think. That gave us exactly 21 video of good quality, which now we had publicized. So, well, okay, it's another example of what was organized with success and small difficulties. Now the last thing is, well, maybe this international transhumanist working group I think it's a good illustration of how we operate. And it's the fact that maybe we are all together today. Thanks to Leonid, which he joined the association in January 2020. And he quickly told us he was interested in leading our relation. Gave him something like a full freedom, and he joined the driving group. And at his initiative, we have collected articles of a presentation of something like a dozen of transhumanist or longevity organization in the world. But above all, he has developed a Discord, channel for the International Transhumanist Workspace. And with the help of Didier Kernel, we were able to maintain a monthly meeting where various leaders of organization from something like 15 or 20 countries, I mean, I've made a subscribe in the Discord. So they could express themselves. And it's probably thanks to this work that we established the context with open longevity today. Well, finally, based on this different example of action carried out over the last few years, and now I would like to share with you some thoughts in general on the results. So, what assessment, if I can say? Well, IFT actions is essentially effective in the public debate. We are almost not involved in direct support to research. Okay, that have to be clear. So, what kind of initiative can we support? We support, for example, this new initiative. We're lucky to have very active members. So I've stayed in Strasbourg, but we have also a group in Cameroon. In both cases, I say we do our best to support their initiative, and notably by helping them financially and by sending them speakers. Their respective groups have to several years of laborious activity and developing. In Cameroon, they have just created an independent organization that they have chosen to name Association Camerounaise Transhumanist Technoprog. So you see, they feel that there's like something like an affiliate group of the French Transhumanist Association. But maybe the most important is that they organized a first international colloquium at the University of Yaoundé in 2021. And they are about to organize the second colloquium. Probably, again, as far as I know, it was the first colloquium, university colloquium about transhumanism in Cameroon. Well, I have to say that, again, there's it's now a quite large group of activists and young academics in Cameroon, is with the help of Armand Ngakecha, which is a member of the board of the French Association and is the most active in all these projects. Well, and now I think about in general, what I can say about the relevance of trying to have in real life meetings. I think that's even if during the pandemics we take the use to have some Zoom encounters like this one. Well, they are always an opportunity to create dynamics, the in real life meetings, and especially to allow people to meet in a convivial way, because I'm afraid that these things we are doing again now, it's a little cold. On the contrary, the links exchanging and the projects envisaged can be stronger because there is something more emotional, maybe. If I took the French example, the Transvision 2014 had a big impact for the French Association. And the 2022 Transvision, it's allowed us to shoot those video, as I say. It will be impossible by Zoom, for example. It will be quite different because we had the roundtables. And then, well, we post all this video, and it helped us because the fact that we have those new video help us to feed our own YouTube channel and our other social network. So as a result, our audience is growing on all this platform. This is sure quite a good point. Well, and otherwise, partnership with online content providers seems to be effective. I mean, at an international level, it helps. To say something more about a social network, I want to give a little focus on a popular example, which is the difference between using a Google, very old-fashioned now, a Google Groups, or a Discord, for example, Savant. We are present on various social networks. We are on Facebook, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, etc. But it's remained that our most active exchange spaces are those two, Discord and an internal mailing list, which is the mailing list of the members of the association. It's a Google Groups. On the main list, it is mostly the older members who express themselves, often in a deep and technical way. On our Discord forum, on the contrary, it's open to everyone, not only to the members, the average age seems much younger, and the comments are lighter. Few people express themselves, but few express themselves on both spaces, and that is a problem. And well, we are not very active on the most popular social network sites like Instagram or TikTok. Well, you can say it's a small concern, but I have to note that we have something like a difficulty in internal communication. And at this point, we have not exactly found a good solution to solve this problem. So this is a point I want to share with you. One of the last points is are trying to continuously renew our active members. I think that this is one of the keys of maybe I can say now, our longevity in the constant focus on renewing our executive. We are constantly on the lookout for people who show enough interest. When we see that someone wants to get involved, we quickly offer to take on one or more small projects. And if successful complete these projects and still have a desire for the organization, we quickly offer them a place on the leadership team. Another thing is that our motor group, the board, and the motor group meeting, I want to say, they are always open to all our members. Therefore, very regularly, 1, 2, 3 passive members attend these meetings. And during these meetings, the opinion of these invited members is solicited. So it's a way to try to grab all the time new people. And the consequence is for 15 years now, well, if some members have withdrawn from the managing team, generally for personal or professional reasons, we have always been able to compensate for this departure by new arrivals. And in addition, newcomers regularly give the organization a new impetus. So I think it's quite important to have this kind of dynamic. So in general, that's our politics, to try an openness, a renewal, and a transparency. And that is what we propose to the International Transhumanist Working Group in general. So yes, I hope that we'll continue this way, and sure, I hope that all the movement at an international level still grow. And I thank you very much for your attention. And I have to close the sharing if I found that. Yeah. Well, I don't know if it was maybe a lot of example. I don't know if you take some notes. Yeah, Didier and Leonid, I hope that you can hope some ideas and to complete this quick frameworks.
Yeah, thank you, Marc, for this long, interesting speech, I would say, and slides. I suppose you will send us also the slides after the meeting. So, of course, I have some comments to make, but yeah, of course, I agree with 99% of what you said. Maybe one general comment is contrary to many organizations, like many other organizations in the transhumanist and longevity world, most of the activities are made by a few people, and to be precise, I would say about 60 to 70% of the work is made by Marc, and for the rest, I'm one of the most active. But contrary to many organizations, it's not only the work of Marc, because Marc is always very, very careful to have a collective decision. So it's not one person who decides, okay, now the fee for the association will be changed. It's a collective decision. Each year we have a general assembly where all people are voting about the decisions. And each month we have a meeting called the Group Moteur. And this meeting is open to all members, but it's first like a board. And we discuss about all questions in a very long way. Well, sometimes too long for me, but in general, very interesting and very democratic. So the name Association Française Technoprogressiste, Association Française Transhumaniste Technoprog is also, I would say, is on one side political aspects for more solidarity outside, but also showing that it's important to work as collectively as possible. And yeah, and this is, I would say, working better those last years compared to before, because that's one of the things I don't know anymore if you were mentioning it, Marc, but we have now a very active group in one of the big cities, but not like Paris, Strasbourg. So we have a very active group. We have also a webmaster working since many years. We have, so we are, I said it's first the work of Marc, and secondly my work, but it is also the work of other people. And this is great. I also wanted to say that like many other organizations, we have one newsletter, a monthly newsletter, and of course we have a website. The website is mostly in French, but we have some information in English. And yeah, last but not least, like all transhumanist organizations, we are for a big part a big part of what we are following is longevity. I would say in the case of the Association for Transhumanist Technoprog, it's about 50-50. So 50% longevity, 50% other questions. So there are a few organizations like Russian Transhumanist, it's almost only longevity. There are a few organizations, maybe, for example, the German Transhumanist, but they are not very active. They are not speaking a lot of longevity. For us, it's about 50%, I would say. And for me, of course, 90%, no, 80%. I think that's all about what you were not specifically approaching. Yeah, of course, Marc is too modest to say that he's doing that. Since actually he was a founding member, and he is the only person who is, and this is kind of sad, the only person I think who is active since the beginning of the movement. I was there a few months after the beginning. So maybe the word to Leonid now after, before the questions.
Marc, thank you very much for an informative and fully well-rounded presentation. I enjoyed listening to it and watching it. I've known you for many years, many years, and I've always had an enormous amount of respect for your forthrightness, for your ability to understand the philosophy and to also do your best to make strides in an area that would be really difficult. I mean, and I wrote about it in the chat. France is known to be a country of philosophers. In fact, the United States and many other areas of the world have parroted the French philosophers, Lecoq, Baudrillard, Lacan, Derrida, you know, the list goes on, and even going back to Sartre with existentialism, and you know, the list goes on and on about the contributions the French philosophers have made to the overall intelligence in thinking about philosophy, not as a worldview, but as what philosophy is. Philosophy is a study for knowledge about existence, why we're here, what we're doing, what our purpose is. That is philosophy. Transhumanism is a philosophy, to be sure, but it's more of a worldview. It's how we practice being a transhumanist, and not everyone practices the same way. But you can't practice transhumanism and kill people, or, you know, be really negative. Those would be incongruous. What I love about the work that you're doing is you have stood up in strongly, again, in an area of the world that is very difficult. French do not like change. They like their croissants and café au lait and their creams and roux and, you know, like your last name. And it's embedded in your culture, and it's a beautiful culture. Truly love it, but it's difficult. My colleagues in academics and in the world of science in France are a little bit annoyed with the anti-transhumanist sentiment. They really want to see transhumanism grow, and behind the scenes, we truly are working on it. I'm studying French right now. Not doing a very good job of it, but I'm doing Duolingo for several hours every day so I can translate all the transhumanist studies, which is the only conclusive, accurate, reliable source of information about the history of transhumanism that needs to be disseminated as much as possible. So I want to applaud you, Marc, for staying with it. I know you're in Greece right now, but you know, bravo to you, truly, from the bottom of my heart. I truly love you and respect you.
Thank you very much, Natasha. Yes, I'm afraid you're right about France. Things are not so easy. Well, maybe I have to be more positive, or I will be more positive if I was talking about the last 10 years, because if I was talking about the difference between now and 10 years before, Yes, we have made some important steps. But I was speaking and focused on the last 3 years. I mean, say what happened from and during the COVID period. And well, so hopefully, but yes, well, I think that we can. I'm not pessimistic. I'm not a pessimistic person, and I'm not pessimistic in general. I'm just trying to be objective in this for this last period. So, well, we are just trying to find a new momentum now. That was the point.
Yeah, if I may add something, yeah, thank you, Natasha, for your kind words. Maybe just well, a small and not so small remark. So the Association Française Transhumaniste, Technoprog, is an association for French-speaking people. So actually, most of the active people, no, not yeah. I would say most of the majority of the active people in the association are not living in France. So Marc Roux is living in Greece. I'm living in Belgium. The webmaster is living in Portugal. Leonid is now in the US. So, for example, here at the moment, there is nobody in France assisting to this meeting. But and so we have also one of the most active members of the organization the last month is Scheiman. And Scheiman is a guy from Switzerland. He's a really great guy, incredibly great. Yes, so, but you are right about the situation. I would say more the French-speaking world, the French-speaking world is kind of yeah, but the French and more largely the European Western European world is kind of very careful concerning new technologies. But on the other side, yes, we have also, especially in France, but also in Belgium and other countries, very large scientific community. So the France is not the first country in the world. It's behind the US, but it's one of the first countries of the world for IT, among other things. So there is kind of a strange situation where people are on one side afraid of technologies and open to technologies. Yeah, and concerning longevity, there is a big concerning the real longevity, there is a big difference between the US and Europe. So the US are far behind, sadly. Well, and this is maybe, well, this is outside of the scope, but it is for me one of the mysteries of this last year. So the United States have have more scientists than almost every country in the world. Technological progress is continuing, but life expectancy is decreasing. That's it for me.
But now I can say I would be interested to about other experiences, or what do you think about our success and difficulties, success and failures? Well, what if you encounter such things, for example, Daniel or Anastasia and Natasha? It could be interesting, I think, that to have a counterpoint. I don't know about the importance, for example, of in real life meeting, the difference with Zoom, what's happening in other countries. Such the interest to have testing. How do you think that? Do you think it's helpful or not? The French example, for example, is not so good. So, such kind of example. Have you got some reaction? Did you
just a technical? Anastasia is not here at the meeting because she's here in Suzalu. And so she has the person from Open Longevity is not Anastasia today. Yeah. That's just technical.
Okay, sorry, but the person from Open Longevity, I don't know, it can be interesting to have the other point of view.
I'm sorry, I wasn't ready to speak here. It was a nice presentation, but I don't know what to add. Want to say, I'm sorry. I'm here just to stream this presentation to YouTube. And thank you, Marc.
Okay, there's no problem. Thank you for your work. And Anastasia and other people from Open Longevity will have occasions to share their opinions or their experiences on other times. I don't know if Jose is there. No, he was there. No, Jose is maybe there because I don't see his images, but Gennady is there.
Yes, thank you, Marc, for your thoughtful presentation and certainly for outlining both some of the challenges that your organization faces, as well as the broader transhumanist movement, as well as some of the opportunities, some of the hopeful developments that have occurred. And you've illustrated a challenge that I sympathize with, which is the proliferation of platforms in recent years. It seems that different people are in different social media platforms or use other methods of communication, and it is sometimes challenging to get the same message across to different subgroups within our movement, even if those different subgroups would be sympathetic to the same message. I sometimes find if I make a post on Twitter, and then I make the same post on Instagram, and then I make the same post on Facebook, the performance of these posts can differ dramatically based on the algorithms of these platforms or who shares them. Discord is a world in and of itself, and I try to approach it with a light touch because otherwise one could get dragged into a lot of the message threads, and there's simply not enough time in the day. But I do notice there are a lot of engaged people, a lot of younger people a generation younger than myself who are on Discord, who are interested in emerging technologies, but they need an entirely different communication strategy from what we might be used to, from what we might have pursued in the past few decades. I really wish there were some sort of universal cross-posting system across platforms where if I had one post that I wanted to share, an announcement of a particular event, an invitation for people to read a particular article, I could copy, paste it, press a button, and then it's posted across all of the platforms. That would save me hours of time per week. Also, I think along these lines, it would be useful for all of our organizations to have some sort of dedicated media person, social media person, who would engage in this kind of posting, because otherwise all of our time and effort is largely spent on social media promotion. So this is one challenge. I'd be interested in opinions for how to address it. But I think the general challenge you highlighted of decreasing media attention is one that I've observed outside of French-speaking countries as well, and English-speaking countries. And I think this has to do largely with the struggles that people have faced. Unfortunately, it seems to me in terms of general quality of life in the Western world, it reached a peak around 2015 and has been declining since then. If I ask the question, is life better in general in 2023 than it was in 2013? My answer would have to be no. Even though there have been some technological advances, it seems that because of the societal pathologies that have unfortunately become increasingly frequent in the Western world, including political hyperpolarization, which has strained a lot of social ties, various institutional breakdowns, which have been quite prominent in the news, and certainly the pandemic hasn't helped, but a lot of these pathologies preceded the pandemic. many people have become more myopic. They've become more focused on everyday concerns, everyday personal crises or emergencies that they have to deal with. And so the time horizons have shrunk. And as a result, the longer term vision that transhumanism offers, which is a more hopeful vision, has not really resonated with as many people. And this is a tragedy because transhumanism could offer a way out of these predicaments. But unfortunately, the media, the mainstream media, are very sensation driven. They're very short term oriented. So they're going to circulate the messages that appeal to the broadest segment of the low attention span public. If we want to counter that, I think fundamentally we need to create our own media, create our own outreach, and then perhaps more journalists from the mainstream media outlets will pick that up and engage with it. But I don't think we can have the expectation anymore that people will just come to us because transhumanism is cutting edge and it offers a nice vision of the future. Unfortunately, we live in a society that has taken a turn toward techno-pessimism. If you think of the reactions to generative AI, which is really an amazing technology, and it allows for creation of art, it allows for creation of textual narratives that are quite extraordinary, but it does have its limitations, of course. But we haven't really seen a nuanced response to it. We've seen on the one hand this fear-driven vision of, oh, large language models are somehow going to destroy humanity, and per Eliezer Yudkowsky, we need to bomb data centers in other countries in order to prevent that, which is absurd. But on the other hand, we've seen a lot of these techno cynics say, oh, these generative AI models, they're just plagiarizing content and we shouldn't allow that. So where is the fascination? Where is the genuine techno-optimism in our society? I think that is our role as the transhumanist movement. We need to kind of rekindle that spark of hope. And how do we do that? I think we need to keep doing more of what we have been doing, but at greater scale, and find more people who are sympathetic and find more people who are willing to do the work in spreading the message. So those are my thoughts. Obviously, no clear instant answers, but hopefully those remarks will help.
Generally, we agree that AFT, we had about the relation with the media. Our last conclusion was exactly something like that. We have almost stopped to try to run after the media, to try to send them articles. The important newspapers or TV in France never answer us positively, and we try to concentrate in our own production. That's exactly the choice we make. Yes, I take again the you were talking about creativity. Interesting to hear what you're thinking about, how it is to have those contests in a different direction, contest of the better video, of the better image, or the better short text. Last year, our contest for short novel text was only in France. This year, we are trying to spread it in the whole French-speaking world. Probably we will try to get it in an international level, which that's mean almost or at least in French and in English. Can you say if you have a try to have something like that in English in the States or otherwise? Because the text we received last year, a lot of them was quite good, I think, with quite fresh and new ideas, interesting ideas. And we were thinking that it could be a good way to promote our ideas, a good way for the audience to discover all those ideas. So, well, I remember that with Natasha, something like how many in 29, in 2009. If you remember, Natasha, I've tried to organize something like a small contest about
Yes, I do
online.
remember. I know that we did have a contest just a few years ago. We gave the top award was $3,000, one $3,000 award, two $2,000 award, and then I think one $1,000 award. I can't remember, but the videos were really nice, and we marketed it. And we got lots of videos. It was very successful, and we announced them at our Beyond the Pandemic conference that 3,500 people attended. So it was pretty good. I just worked on something for Afro longevity. I created a innovative prize, and I wrote it up for them. It's on the website over at Afro longevity. We're doing a competition for innovation. It's international, and I wrote it so that it's not for any one group, that you could be any age, any profession, whatever. So it's, I don't have the link right offhand, but it's, that'll be presented in August. So there are other prizes, but I think personally, if you really want to make headway in France, maybe you don't, but if you do, I would take on the postmodernist rhetoric. I would be very forthright and take it on. Just say it's time for change. It's time to move. We're no longer in the postmodernist era. Thank you all who created, all the stuff and anti-modernists, but get it by the, excuse me, balls. Don't do all these artsy things. Do something serious in France. You are the country of philosophy. Take it on. Take it on, man. I mean, get out of politics, get out of the arts, stay in the field that France is known for, and make some statements about that. That's scarier. That is far more scary than having a visual competition. And as far as AI making art, most artists who are really artists just mock it. It's just the AI generated arts, like Dolly, it's silly nonsense, cartoony. Like I'm giving a keynote at this palace in Warsaw on longevity next week to a lot of entrepreneurs in Europe, and it's very high end. And I sent my presentation. They said, no, you didn't do it in AI. And so they rejected it. They love my talk. I wrote it down, everything. And so I thought, okay, they want to do it in AI. So I purchased 2 different platforms for doing my talk in AI, and both of them suck. But they just wanted to say all of they have 2 keynotes, myself and someone else. For I'm at the gala, the other person's at something else. But they want it to be spread that their keynotes were giving their presentations that were created with AI. And again, the platforms I used were Tome, T-O-M-E, which looks like cartoon 3rd grade art. And then the other one is Beautiful AI, which you can manipulate more. But, I don't know, Mark. I mean, it's like, gosh, I put some links to Sorbonne University. There was a transhumanist conference there some years ago, and hardly anyone attended, but I love that it was at that university. And I told a friend of mine who is the president of one of the main design schools in France, and she said to me, whoa, you gave a talk at Sorbonne, that is really high end. That type of thing needs to be followed up. I don't know who put on it. I can't even remember if that was you or someone else who did it, but wow, get back out there to that. And it's kind of like Oxford. You can't get any better. But everyone is interested in longevity now. That's the thing. So if that's the horse you have to ride and gallop with it, make it longevity and what postmodernism missed, because they really missed the boat with longevity. You look at any of the rigor within the scope of the broadcast of the philosophy. Yeah, it's for feminism and gay and gender rights and the other, and mental illness and all these things that we do care about with transhumanism, but they totally miss the boat on technology. They have no vision for the future. And I mean, no vision. So it's, you know, there you have an opening. So the way I do things, I look for a gap and I see what's missing, why it's needed. Well, first, what's missing? Is there something needed? How can it be? Who can I work with? And I build a team of people to work with to tackle it, because no one can do this on their own. And then I make sure that my team of people who are working on it are really knowledgeable in their area, you know, really know their stuff, and then get it done. So I think that you can do really well. It's right around the corner. You know, it's right around the corner, because soon these innovators at these schools, these young entrepreneurs and innovators who are working with maybe AI now and maybe, you know, some areas of, you know, stem cells and gene editing, like CRISPR-Cas9, or, you know, looking at GPT-4 and the future and nanotechnology, they're going to want a worldview that represents their innovations. And there you have it. So, you know.
Natasha, in the first years of the French Association, 3 of our 4 first conferences was in the Sorbonne University. One of them, yes, you was there, Natasha. But I have to say that at that time, it was with the not exactly the help, but the, how do you say that, the benevolence of Jean-Michel Beignet, which is now a former philosopher and teacher in the Sorbonne. The first one was quite with his help, because exactly it was organized by 2 of his students, which was in the university, in the IFT. One of the both was one of the co-founder of the association. So at that time, the relation was quite good with this professor, Jean-Michel Beignet. But in yeah, you understand, in the coming years, his position has evolved. I remember that in something like 3-4 years later in the conference, he told me, well, you know, and I think that nowadays transhumanism is the enemy. So I just want to, but because I told him, but well, Jean-Michel, you know that what you was just saying is a lie. So why are you speaking like that now? And he answered me like that. So it was not so easy. Well, and yes, and in another hand, I will tell you, but don't repeat it. I'm actually working in a book. I pretend maybe the title could be Transhumanist philosophy. So I don't know how far will it goes. But, well,
I just say it up front: transhumanism, the positive philosophy for the future. You know, just positive there. Put a word there that really shows solutions and strategies and thinking. Now, again, you know, anyone can do a strategy or scenario, but I don't. You know, it's being a futurist is, you know, it's not just thinking about, oh, the future. The tools that we use are really, you know, that degree I got in futurology or future studies, or the discipline of future thinking, was one of the toughest. It's tough stuff, and most futurists today don't use that. So I think that there's an opening for that. Again, most futurists call themselves futurists, but don't have the skills of, you know, really doing it with, you know, the mind mapping and not just that, but the examples and the Gantt charts of statistics and numbers and viewing. I think Ray Kurzweil just sent me his new book. I got it yesterday. It's private. I can't share any of the information in it, but it's, you know, everyone knows that he has a book that's supposed to be coming out, and it's It's not out yet, but he wanted me to take a look at it. And it's almost too dense. If I would have to say, it's not going to be easily readable. It's too, you can't have too much density or too many footnotes or references because it takes the reader away from the central point. I think largely people want to see scenarios. They want stories about, well, we're talking about a positive future. What are the stories that we're telling that's going to create that positive future? And most science fiction authors get off on, you know, the tragedy of the horrors of the future. And it's helped us and hurt us in numerous ways. We've relied on science fiction a lot. Star Trek was very positive, but everything else is, you know, Philip K. Dick and the whole slew of our dear friends, except for Vernor Vinge, it's really negative, awful futures. So, you know, if you're going to do that, Marc, show possibilities and examples of positive outcomes, not Pollyanna, but, you know, what we call, you know, practical optimism is very much needed. And I know today people keep on bringing up eugenics again, and there is someone named Phil Torres. I don't know if you all know him, Phil Torres. He's the one that exposed Nick Bostrom for what he wrote on the our extra-P list in the early 1990s. Well, he wasn't on it till more the mid 1990s. He wasn't, you know, part of transhumanism in the beginning, but he came on. He did, you know, and write something that kind of damaged his reputation. But Phil Torres is the one that exposed it, and he now has he's writing a book himself to discredit transhumanism. So we need to understand why and engage these people that are doing this. He's working with a woman named, I had her website up just a second ago. Phil Torres, and he also goes by the name of Emil P. Torres, and also by the name of, he has a third name. I can't remember what it is, but he's really a nice person, but something clearly is amiss. And we need to be ever so careful. As I had suggested to Gennady some years ago, who didn't take me seriously, so, you know, about another person who, you know, we need to know, and we need to be kind and respectful, but steer away from people who have psychological issues that cannot be honed down or off their medication. He's one. So, but the woman he's working with, I can't remember her name right away, but I think it's really important for an international transhumanist group of people to always be respectful, never to gossip, never to spread false information, but to be mindful, to be very aware when there's someone in the community who is intentionally causing problems to transhumanism as a worldview generally, or to any of its organizations specifically, and to, I guess the word is ban, and I don't like censorship and I don't like banning, but I think I have to respect Christine Peterson of Foresight Institute, who did ban this one person, the earlier person that I had mentioned to Gennady, banned. And I didn't want to do that but I'm the one who was harassed for 10 years, you know, and so we need to really help each other and not let these things occur. So I think that's one thing that's important. And I'm sorry about your colleague or friend who now got afraid of transhumanism. The more people have genetic engineering, the more CRISPR-Cas9 comes out and people understand it, the more people the term eugenics will just disappear. It's just raw right now because of so much interest in the downside of genetic engineering or anyone who's doing it on themselves, which is a really not a smart thing to be doing, bottom line. So,
Natasha, I didn't
What?
understand. You say about Nick Bostrom that he's at the moment writing a book against transhumanism or something?
No.
I didn't get it.
No, I said Phil Torres, the one who exposed Nick.
Okay.
Yeah, he is. But I'm going to email him this week and hopefully try to communicate with him. It's people change. This past week, you had asked me about the email list. This week, I had to spend 2 days, 24/7, working to get our website, Humanity Plus's website, back up. Our email was gone. Our website disappeared overnight. Then I find out that, again, I'm not an IT person, but I had to. Dave Pierce helped me out with this, but he couldn't figure it out either. So I had to go, okay, bottom line is someone with World Transhumanist Organization had put the website on that person's credit card to perpetuity and didn't tell anyone, had everything hidden. And I know that one person did know, but didn't have the graciousness to tell me. Anyway, this person canceled the website, the credit card, and it's just gone. I had no way of getting it because my name wasn't anywhere on it. And so I had to convince the tech support at the name server to trust me. I had to send documents to prove everything. And I got the website back up within 72 hours. But you never know what people are going to do. So there has to be a respect for the integrity of the organizations. And we have a document, it's called the Transhumanist Declaration. And I think that proves that we're not into eugenics. I mean, it's right there. Why it's not referred to more often is a problem. And perhaps we might want to, as a group, take a look at it and see if there's anything that needs tweaking. Do we need to add something to it? Is it some wording that we wrote years ago that is out of date? We need to keep on checking our own selves and what we're saying to make sure that our vocabulary is up to snuff. But I'm not using pronouns. So I refuse to use pronouns. If I'm going to identify with anything, I'm going to identify with a 6-foot Nigerian woman. That would be my dream come true. I'd like to be tall and dark skinned. So, but that's not who I am. So, and I'm not going to identify as a breastfeeding or feeding woman. So anyway, I think that we need to just check all these things and give you our utmost support, Marc and Didier and Leonard, because you guys are, and your team. So I have to go because I'm leaving town, and I gotta take care of my boys and clean the house and do Mother's Day things. So
just one sentence concerning Nick Bostrom and this declaration. There were some common points with what was happening against Aubrey de Grey, actually. And it was in both cases important to be on their side.
I think Aubrey, who I've known him. I knew Aubrey before he became quote unquote famous. I mean, known him a long time. Aubrey is guilty of some things. Yes, he is. And we need to be honest about that. And one thing that we need to not be sycophants, not just, we need to make each other accountable. And
I think he was guilty in saying that he was guilty, because there was nothing illegal in what he was doing. That's for sure.
No, you don't know that, Didier.
I know, of course. I know him also,
I can't say, but we all respect and love Aubrey, but we need to know that being a sycophant does not help our cause. We ought to stand up and correct each other when we're doing things that affect the rest of us. And I'm sure I've done things too. So, we're all, when we say we're only human, it's really true. We're all pretty much fucked up humans in a way where our emotions get involved, and we make mistakes. That's But one thing that is a sign of intelligence is when we admit that we're wrong, or we did make a mistake and apologize forthrightly. Nick did apologize. He used the term, the N-word, and said that Black people weren't as intelligent as white people. And he got called out for it. And that was pretty bad. I mean, it was pretty bad. And, but he, let's move on. At that time, and I stood up for him. At that time, and I told the person who wrote this, exposed it, I don't think he was being racist. I think he was talking about a fact that, and even James Watson, remember that? Famous James Watson?
Yeah.
He said it and he got his prize taken away. Remember that? He made a claim that white people had higher IQ than Black people. These things are just so inappropriate to say. But now more than ever. So anyway, we all need to be accountable and do our best to be supportive of each other, right? Bottom line.
I agree. Of course, those comments on race-based topics would be inappropriate to make. I did suggest that given that many crimes, actual crimes, have statutes of limitations that are less than 10 years, we should have a norm that is analogous to that with regard to online comments or comments in general.
Yes, I agree with you, Gennady, because I know, God, things that we could have said 20 years ago, if we said it now, oh my goodness, it'd be awful. Yeah, there's ought to be a statute of limitation on vernacular, but gosh, I mean, it's just icky. So, but I think this is an important point. Again, thank you, Marc and Didier and Leonardo for putting this together, and thank you for inviting me. And I look forward to more collaboration because we need it.
To be there with us. Well, as we said, so if you are interested, we hope that you could have a small presentation of this kind from what happens the last years in Humanity Plus.
Sure. Yeah. No, we've got some great stuff.
To make to understand, to give this information to other organizations. As you remember, these meetings now are
normally it's the second Sunday of the month. So the next one will be.
So I'll do the next presentation if you want me to. What is the date on that? Oh,
11.
Here, let me look.
June 11.
June 11, I'm in town. Yay, okay. So June 11, I would be delighted.
June 11, same time.
Okay, so June 11, let me put it in my calendar at, what was it, 10 o'clock?
Yeah,
it was leaving 1 hour
Pacific time
ago, but we have, we are in 7 p.m. It's 10 a.m. Yes, it was 10 a.m.
Okay, so let me put 10, and I'll remind myself a week before. So okay, thank you.
Bye-bye.
My pleasure. Big hugs to everyone. Thank you. Okay. Bye.
For everybody else, and now it's something like 1.5 hours. So Leonid, I don't know if you want to stop it now, or if Gennady, you wanted to say some other things about the other films.
I would like to stop now for two reasons, but maybe two minutes for Gennady and 1 minute for me. But after that, I would like to stop because it's raining where I am, and because it's the last day for me it's Zuzalu, and so 1 minute to speak about that. And Gennady, I will not be listening to your thing tonight this time. Well, tonight for me, not for you.
Yes,
But
and thank you, PJ, for mentioning that. So we do have a stream at 1 p.m. Pacific time. Of course, that would be quite late in Europe. It would be 9 p.m. for everyone who is in the Central European time zone. So this is a compilation of my presentations. It's called Passing Through the Great Filter, How Are We Doing? And one of these presentations was given in September of 2022 at the VSIM conference that our friend Professor Angel Marchev hosted in Bulgaria. And the other presentation is an update from that. So given that 8 months had elapsed, essentially, how do I see the recent developments impacting the existential risk that humankind is faced with, particularly the risk of nuclear war?
okay, I will say just 2 words about where I am now. So it's called Suzalu. It's a 2 months event in Montenegro. So Montenegro is a small country between Albania and Croatia or Serbia. Okay, I don't know anymore. And Kosovo. This is about 200 to 300 people who meet about crypto money, about artificial intelligence, and about longevity. And this week was almost only about longevity, and it's really great. Maybe I met many people I already know, but also many people I don't know. And we have to be honest, we communicate so much online, but still meeting people like that, it's still in many aspects better than to communicate online. By the way, Gennady, I know I met you once in the Radfest. I remember. That's the only time.
Twice in Dublin as well.
I forgot you were in Dublin. That's crazy. I forgot that you were in Dublin. You were there as a member of this of the LEVF, Longevity Escape Velocity Foundation. So Aubrey is one of the many people who are here. Yes, and I wanted also to say just one sentence about what you said, Gennady, the fact that we are that it's difficult to communicate. One of the reasons is purely commercial, but it's making me crazy and making, I think, many people crazy. Is each way to communicate makes it impossible to communicate with others. You know, the beginning of internet was great because we had the email and you could write to everybody. Well, you still can write to. I would say you can write today more than yesterday to everybody, but most people use also other systems, WhatsApp, Telegram, Discord, Slack, and so on and so on. For example, a very concrete example, we are looking to find Chinese people since many years. So, and since today, no, yesterday, but today more concrete yet, even that I found one group online concerning longevity and transhumanism in China. I will give the information to the list. And I found it because I met one Chinese Canadian guy here. And WeChat, the fact that WeChat is one way to communicate, it's not only commercial, it's also political. But for all the other aspects, it's only commercial and crazy. So many ways to communicate, and it makes it impossible. I had already even people who are angry against me because I don't communicate. That just Also, just finishing that, also because when you live only in one, I would say, environment, it's okay. But when you live with people on the left side of the political spectrum, right side, Greens, technological. Each one is using a specific system. That's it. It was more than 60 seconds. Sorry. I'm having some connection problems. Okay.
I'm leaving you for tonight.
We stop and we see each other June 11 and January.
Yeah.
See you, and also Leonid and Daniela. Leonid, you are still in the US at the moment?